In the heart of the galaxy, the Great Galactic Council gathered once again. Hundreds of alien species sat in tall glass towers, floating seats, or resting in water tanks. All of them were watching the middle of the Great Hall where the newest member was about to speak. It was Earth's turn. Humanity had finally been accepted into the Council after years of tests, questions, and visits from alien ambassadors. The human ambassador walked slowly to the center. He was calm. He looked small next to the giant insect leaders of Frelk or the massive crystal creatures from Zarnok. The hall fell quiet. The humans smiled, looked around at the strange faces, and began to speak. "Thank you for this honor," he said. "Humanity is excited to join this council of intelligent life. We've learned much, we've grown, and we come in peace." Some aliens nodded politely. Others looked bored. The human continued, speaking about cooperation, trade, knowledge, and shared goals. Then at the end, he said something strange. "One last thing," he added with a grin. "If anyone here ever tries to mess with Earth, remember, this is your only warning." Then he laughed and said, "Just kidding. Or maybe not." There was silence. Then laughter spread through the council. The insect creatures buzzed with amusement. The water-based minds of Krell sang notes of humor. Even the cold, logical Erixians let out sharp clicks of laughter. They all thought it was a joke, a human joke, simple, silly, and meaningless. That was Earth's first full meeting in the council. They became known for their strange habits, eating many times a day, asking odd questions, making noise with music, and telling jokes that made no sense. The other species called them curious and harmless. No one feared humans. They didn't have the lifespan of the Glarians. Their weapons were old. Their spaceships were small. Their leaders were emotional. The humans were weak. Funny, maybe, but weak. For many years, humans sat at the council table, quietly listening. They didn't argue. They didn't vote much. They agreed with almost everything. When asked for resources, they gave them. When invited to speak, they kept it short. Many thought humans were too soft, too friendly, too eager to please. Some joked that humans were pets, not members. Then, one day, something happened that no one expected. It started like any other meeting. The council was discussing border rules in the Zellian zone. Some species argued, others ignored it. The human ambassador sat in his seat, quiet as always. Then he stood up. He didn't wait for a turn to speak. He just stood. Everyone looked at him, confused. "We're done," the human said. The speaker of the council asked, "Done with what?" "Done talking. Done pretending. Done playing this game." Silence fell over the room. "What does that mean?" a four-eyed leader from the south arm of the galaxy asked. The human didn't answer. He took a small device from his coat, pressed a button, and a message played in the air above him. The message showed Earth's flag, then a line of text. "Earth is no longer at the table." The message repeated once, then disappeared. Before anyone could ask more questions, the human walked out of the chamber. He left behind his seat, his translator, and his diplomatic badge. The doors closed behind him. At first, the council laughed again. They thought it was another human joke. Maybe humans were offended by something small. Maybe they needed a break. Or maybe they were just strange, like always. But the next day, things changed. Earth cut off all communication. No messages, no replies. Galactic data networks lost contact with every human station. No one could call, visit, or trade. Human ships stopped moving. Earth's moon base went dark. Mars colony gave no response. A few council members tried to calm the situation. "They're just upset," one said. "Let's give them time," another added. But weeks passed, then months. A Zarn scout ship was sent near Earth's system. It didn't return. Rumors began. "Humans are building something," some whispered. "They've gone mad," others said. One alien trader swore he saw a human warship near Jupiter, huge, silent, and like nothing he had seen before. The council grew nervous. The humans, who once laughed and shared food and spoke with strange slang, were suddenly quiet and distant. It was no longer funny. Someone suggested sending a small fleet to make contact. "Show them we care," they said. But others were afraid. What if Earth really was serious? What if the joke wasn't a joke at all? Then the Speaker of the Council asked, "What do humans want?" No one had an answer, because no one had ever asked. They had all laughed, all looked down at Earth. All thought of humans as simple, soft, and strange. But now Earth was silent, and sometimes silence is the loudest answer. Something had changed. The joke was over, and the galaxy was no longer laughing. After Earth left the Galactic Council, everything went quiet. No one had expected the silence to last this long. At first, the other species believed it was just temporary. Maybe humans needed time. Maybe they were just being dramatic. But weeks passed, then months. Earth didn't answer any calls. Every channel that led to human systems was shut down. Spaceports once open to all were now locked. Patrols that once waved at alien ships now gave no signals at all. The silence grew louder. Alien leaders sent messages, peaceful ones, friendly ones, even jokes. But they were met with nothing. The humans were gone, not physically, but socially. Politically, mentally. They had left the table and slammed the door behind them. Trade companies began to panic. Human-made machines were in high demand. Small, clever devices no one else could copy. Their medicine, their AI systems, even their old movies were loved in many parts of the galaxy. Now, all shipments stopped. Nothing was coming out of Earth. Not even a single crate. A few brave captains tried to visit human space, hoping to make private deals, but they were blocked before they got close. Quiet satellites lit up with warning lights. "Turn back," the messages said. "This space is closed." Some ignored the warnings. One scout ship, from the Valtor species, entered Earth's system through the outer ring. It had cloaking systems and fast drives. They believed they could sneak in and look around, but the ship never returned. A few days later, a piece of metal from that ship floated out past Neptune. Burned, broken, and silent. That was when the fear started. Humans had always been strange. They laughed too much, cried too easily, and loved telling stories. They were emotional and unpredictable, but now something felt different. They weren't talking, but they were clearly watching, and working, and preparing for something. Spies tried to listen in. Satellites from other species were placed near Earth's borders, but the humans had already upgraded their systems. Any device that got close was shut down instantly. Some were destroyed without warning, and then came the first real clue. A merchant ship flying near Saturn picked up something large on its scanners. It wasn't a moon, or a rock, or an asteroid. It was metal, massive metal, a human structure, larger than any space station ever built. The ship got close enough to record a blurry image before it was chased away. What the image showed was strange. A ring of machines spinning around a bright blue core. Weapons? Engines? No one knew. It looked like a factory, or maybe a warship. Or both. The council called an emergency meeting. "This is a message," said the Erixian delegate. "They want us to see it. They want us to fear it." "They're bluffing," said another. "Humans are clever, but they don't have the power to fight us." "Are you sure?" asked a quiet voice. "They've had time. They've been silent for a year." More reports came in. Alien traders spotted new human ships in deep space. They didn't look like the old ones. These were sharp, fast, and quiet. They moved in and out of asteroid fields like hunters. They didn't respond to hails. They didn't fire. But they watched. A new rumor spread. Humans were building something big Not just one ship, not just one station, a fleet, a network, something connected and hidden. The galaxy didn't know how to react. Should they try peace again? Should they prepare for war? Or should they simply leave Earth alone? Some small species started to worry. They had depended on human trade. They liked humans. Some even respected them. Now they were caught in the middle. If the Council moved against Earth, would those species become targets too? The Council decided to send one more message, one final try for peace. A team of diplomats prepared a long, careful message. They sent it on every known frequency. In every human language, they promised friendship, promised no harm, promised respect. The message was delivered. 2 days later, Earth responded. But it wasn't a voice. It was just a video. It showed a map of the galaxy. Then human systems began to glow in red, one after another. Then, slowly, nearby systems lit up too. Some were empty, some were not. Then text appeared. "We hear you, but we do not trust you." That was it. Short, cold, direct. The silence continued after that. But now the silence wasn't peaceful. It felt heavy. It felt like a storm waiting to fall. Something had changed in humanity. They were no longer the friendly species asking for a seat at the table. They were no longer laughing. They had walked away. And now, they were watching, working, waiting. The Galactic Council was no longer calm. After Earth's cold message, "We hear you, but we do not trust you," the silence felt dangerous. The once laughing species had become quiet and sharp. The other species didn't know what humanity was doing. But they all knew one thing. It wasn't nothing. The Council finally acted. They called it a peaceful investigation. They said they only wanted answers. So they sent one of their best ships, the Silver Wind, toward the edge of Earth's space. It was fast, well-armed, and carried over 100 of the Council's finest crew members. They believed it could handle anything. The Silver Wind crossed into human space near Neptune. For 2 days, it sent reports back to the Council. All quiet, no contact, systems calm. But on the 3rd day, all contact was lost. At first, the Council thought it was a technical problem, maybe a solar flare, maybe a broken antenna. They sent a second ship to investigate. This one stayed just outside Earth's space and scanned. From a distance, what they saw chilled them. The Silver Wind was still there, but it was frozen in space. Not destroyed, not damaged, just completely shut down. Its engines were cold. Its lights were off. It floated like a ghost ship. No signs of life. No signs of battle. The second ship tried to get close. Suddenly, warning lights flashed across. Their control panels. A message appeared on their screens. "You sent your message. We sent ours. Leave." The Council ship turned around immediately. Panic spread quickly. The Council met in secret. Some wanted to send warships. Others warned that war with Earth could be a mistake. One voice asked, "What if we don't understand what they've become?" Then came the real shock. 1 week later, a small alien explorer ship spotted something near the asteroid belt. It was a human ship, but not like the old ones. This one was black and gold, sharp as a blade, glowing with strange lights. It didn't look like anything from Earth's past. It looked new, advanced, fast. The explorer tried to scan it. In less than a second, their systems went offline. The ship didn't fire. It didn't speak. It just passed by in total silence, then disappeared into the dark. Within days, other ships reported sightings. Human ships were seen near Council space, just watching, not attacking. Some sat in asteroid fields. Others moved between empty moons. They were never in the same place twice. They were quiet, calm, dangerous. It wasn't just warships. Mining machines were spotted on dead planets. Research stations appeared on moons that were once thought useless. It was as if humanity had grown in silence, grown in secret. The council demanded answers, but there were no answers. And then it got worse. At the edge of the Zilmar system, a trading ship found something huge floating in the dark. It wasn't moving. It wasn't transmitting any signal, but it was clearly human. A giant ring structure, almost the size of a moon, glowing with blue light. It spun slowly, with strange energy pulsing through it. No one knew what it was. Some said it was a weapon. Others said it was a machine to create stars. When a science ship tried to get close, it vanished. Not destroyed, not damaged, just gone. Everyone in the galaxy understood what this meant. Humanity had changed. They were no longer the new race asking questions and making jokes. They were now something else, something powerful, quiet, and watching. And they didn't want to. Talk. The council held another emergency meeting. Voices shouted. Fists slammed tables. Some species wanted to destroy the ring station before it was finished. Others warned against attacking Earth. You saw what they did to the Silver Wind, one leader said. We don't even know how. They did it. Still, pressure was building. Too many were afraid. Too many felt insulted. The pride of the Galactic Council had been hurt. A small race had walked away, and then grown stronger. Plans were made. A fleet was built in secret. 12 ships, armed with the strongest weapons the Council had. Their mission was clear. Enter Earth's system, scan all stations, demand answers, and if needed, use force. The fleet never returned. No one knows exactly what happened. The last message was short. We have entered orbit near the human station. It is active, strange energy, something is... Then silence. No battle, no explosion, no wreckage, just silence. The Galactic Council sat in shock. Their best fleet was gone. Their pride was broken. Their power meant nothing. And Earth still said nothing. They didn't brag. They didn't threaten. They didn't explain. They just kept working, kept building, kept watching. The galaxy finally understood what was happening. The humans had given a warning once many years ago in their first speech at the Council. Just kidding? Or maybe not. They thought it was a joke. It wasn't. Now no one was laughing. Long before Earth joined the Galactic Council, humans had already been watching. The Council never knew this. They thought humans were new to space, weak, fresh. But the truth was, far from that. Humanity had reached out into the dark many years before their first meeting with alien life. They had explored their own system, sent probes far beyond, and listened, always listening. When the first alien signal reached Earth, humans didn't panic. They didn't scream or pray. They studied it, quietly, patiently. Governments worked in secret. Science teams were built, and behind closed doors, plans were made. Humanity didn't rush to make friends. They waited. They learned everything they could before answering. They learned the Council's languages, their rules, their strengths, and their weaknesses. When the time was right, Earth introduced itself politely. The Council saw a young, eager race full of hope. But what they didn't see was the layer beneath that smile, a mind sharpened by history, by war, by survival. Because Earth had not been an easy place to grow up. Humans had faced centuries of struggle, wars that destroyed cities, diseases that nearly wiped out generations, climate disasters, hunger, fear, division, and yet they had survived. Not just survived, adapted, evolved. Pain had shaped them. Fire had forged them. When the Council accepted Earth, humans didn't celebrate too loudly. They sat down quietly at the table, listened, and nodded. And while the aliens laughed at their strange jokes and habits, humanity was watching, taking notes, learning how things really worked. They saw how some species used kindness as a trap, how others smiled while hiding sharp claws. They saw how the council worked, slow, proud, full of secrets. And they knew one thing: this peace would not last forever. So humans prepared, not openly, not with loud speeches or big shows. They worked in secret, under the surface. Hidden labs on the moon, deep space factories near Saturn's rings, AI systems running silent simulations, new alloys, new fuels, new machines, quietly created and never shared. They gave the council just enough to seem weak: old ships, soft speeches, friendly faces. But behind those faces were minds that remembered every war, every betrayal, every broken promise in human history. The council never suspected the truth. They were too proud, too sure of their power, too blind. They thought humans were harmless. But what they never knew was that Earth had already cracked their codes, already mapped their borders, already built defenses not to attack, but to survive. To make sure that when the time came, humanity would never again have to bow. It wasn't hate, it was preparation, it was instinct. Humanity didn't want war, but they knew war might come. And when it did, they wouldn't beg for peace. They would vanish behind walls of silence and wait. And that's exactly what they did. When the council ignored their warnings, when ships came too close, when demands were made, Earth stepped back, left the table, locked the doors. And behind those doors, the real work began. The ring structures near Jupiter? Not weapons, not exactly. They were power stations, feeding energy to a vast, hidden network. A grid across human space. A system no other race had even dreamed of. 1 part shield, 1 part engine, 1 part secret. The black and gold ships were just the beginning. They were scouts, test units. The real fleet hadn't been seen yet. Even the Council's smartest minds couldn't understand how quickly humans had advanced. They assumed humans were bound by the same slow limits as everyone else, but humans had something no one else did: chaos. No single leader, no single plan. They fought each other, yes, but they also competed, created, improved. Their systems were messy, but in that mess was fire. In that chaos was speed. The Council, with all its order and rules, couldn't keep up, and still, Earth did not attack. Because humanity wasn't angry, they were disappointed. They had hoped the Council would be better, stronger, wiser. But what they found was pride, games, and politics. The galaxy wasn't a place of peace. It was a place of masks and whispers. So humanity did what it always did. It walked alone. Now, as the galaxy watched the silent systems of Earth with fear and confusion, a few wise voices finally understood. The joke wasn't that humans made a threat years ago. The real joke was that the Council never listened. They never saw the fire behind the smile. They never asked what humans really were. They thought they were safe because Earth was quiet. But silence does not mean weakness. It means patience. And now, humanity was watching. The Council had their fleets, their rules, their pride. Earth had something else: time. And when the time was right, the galaxy would see what humans had truly become. Not because they wanted to rule, not because they wanted revenge, but because they refused to kneel. Not anymore. The tension had grown too heavy. For months now, human ships were seen at the edges of Council space, never speaking, never attacking, just watching. The Council tried to stay calm. They told their people not to worry. They said, "We are still in control." But that was a lie. Everyone could feel it. Something was coming, something big. Then the breakpoint arrived. It started with a small planet, Zarnel 3. It was not rich, not powerful, just a quiet world near the edge of human space. But it was a Council member, and it had a deep space scanner station. That station picked up something strange: energy waves that did not match anything in their records. Not from stars, not from engines. Something new, something alive. They sent a report to the council, but before the council could respond, the station went dark, gone, just like the Silver Wind. The council panicked. They sent a scout team. What they found shocked them. The station was still there, fully working, untouched, but empty. No crew, no bodies, no signs of struggle. All the machines were still running. Lights were on, doors open, but the people were gone, vanished. The message was clear. Too clear. Do not watch us. Do not follow us. This is your final warning. The council had no more excuses. They could no longer pretend it was nothing. One by one, member species called for action. But action came too late. Because at that same time, across 5 different star systems, new human structures appeared. Huge stations that seemed to rise from nothing. Ships that looked like ghosts, forming from light and matter. They didn't send messages. They didn't respond. They just arrived. The council tried to contact Earth again. They offered peace, trade, apologies. No answer. Finally, a group of high-ranking leaders voted to launch a controlled strike, not on Earth, but on one of the new stations near the border. A warning shot, they said, just enough to show strength, just enough to force a response. They sent a powerful fleet, 8 ships, top-of-the-line weapons. The plan was simple: fast strike, quick retreat. They never returned. No explosions, no battle sounds, just gone. Again. But this time there was a response, a message, one sentence. You were warned. That was the break point, the moment fear became real. The galaxy finally understood. Humanity was no longer playing. They weren't bluffing. They weren't joking. They had made their decision, and now they were acting on it. Within days, trade between human and non-human systems completely stopped. Human-built machines in council cities suddenly shut down. Quiet tech, once sold by humans with a smile, simply stopped working. Lights went dark. Defense shields fell. Cities froze. Everything had a back door. Everything had a switch. And Earth had the keys. The galaxy wasn't just facing powerful ships. They were facing a race that had planned everything, slowly, carefully, with patience no one believed humans had. Now, the council was afraid to speak. Meetings were full of silence. Leaders whispered. Some wanted war. Some wanted surrender. But no one knew what would happen next, because no one knew what humanity truly wanted. They hadn't made demands. They hadn't claimed territory. They hadn't taken prisoners. They just cut the strings. And the galaxy fell. Not with fire, but with silence. Smaller species panicked. Some tried to leave the council. Some begged Earth for mercy, but there was no reply, no attack, just stillness. Then one ship, an old freighter from the neutral world of Theron, sent a message directly to Earth, not from a leader, not from a soldier, just a mechanic. She said, "We didn't hurt you. We respected you. We miss you. Please, talk to us." Hours passed. Then Earth replied. It was not a video, not a speech, just a simple voice, soft and calm. "We remember. You will not be harmed. But this is not about one species. This is about all of you. You did not listen. You laughed. Now, you will listen to silence." The freighter was allowed to pass. It entered human space and returned safely. But it carried another message, a warning. The humans had built something called the Veil. No one knew what it was. A machine? A weapon? A new kind of wall? The message only said, "Once the Veil is complete, no one will enter our space again. Ever." Now, the galaxy had a choice: try to stop the Veil and risk war with a power they didn't understand, or let it finish and lose access to humanity forever. The council was frozen, scared, divided. And Earth was silent. They were done waiting, done asking, done talking, and the galaxy had finally realized the truth. Humanity didn't walk away to hide. The galaxy held its breath. Every screen, every scanner, every eye turned toward human space, toward the veil. No one knew exactly what it was, but everyone felt its weight, even from light years away. It began to appear slowly, black lines across space, thin as spider webs but stronger than any material known. They stretched from planet to planet, moon to moon, building something massive, something quiet, something final. Ships that got too close disappeared. No explosions, no wreckage, just gone. The Council tried to send drones. None came back. They sent a deep space telescope to watch from far away. All they saw were shapes, huge. Towers floating in the void, glowing with a strange white light. Some said they were alive. Others said they were machines that could think. The name was perfect. The Veil. A wall of silence, a curtain of shadow, a line between what was known and what was now beyond reach. Earth had stopped talking. Now they were closing the door. Species across the galaxy began to panic. Trade routes collapsed. Communication networks went dark. Worlds that depended on human tech were thrown into chaos. Some planets even went dark completely, their systems failing overnight. Human-made satellites turned off. Human-built reactors shut down. Every switch flipped at once. But Earth didn't attack. They didn't conquer. They didn't shout. They just closed. And that scared the Council more than any war ever could. "What are they building?" one ambassador asked. No one had an answer. "What do they want?" another asked. Still no one knew. Because the veil wasn't just a wall. It was a message. You don't get to see us anymore. You don't get to use us. You had your chance. And now, that chance was gone. A few brave ships tried to challenge it. One battlecruiser from the Drevel Empire fired a warning shot at a veil node, a glowing sphere near Saturn. It disappeared before the blast even landed, just blinked out of space like it had never existed. The ship turned to escape, but it was already gone. No sound, no fire, just silence. The Drevel Empire called for war, but no one joined them. Because now, even the proudest species were afraid. Not just afraid of losing, afraid of not understanding. Because what kind of power moves without noise? What kind of mind builds without speaking? The humans had become something else, something different. Not gods, not monsters, just untouchable. Far beyond what the galaxy once believed. Some called them cowards. But others knew better. The humans hadn't run away. They had evolved, and the galaxy had been too blind to see it. One old general from the Council finally spoke the truth. We thought they were like us, but they're not. They think longer, they move slower, and when they strike, they don't miss. By now, the veil was almost complete. Black lines wrapped around the solar system like a cage. But a cage turned inside out. It didn't trap humans. It trapped everyone else outside. Inside the veil, strange lights moved. Massive shadows drifted through space, too large to measure. Some said they saw cities floating in the stars. Others claimed to see living machines, thousands of miles wide. No one could confirm. No one could get close. Then came the final message. It wasn't sent to the Council. It was broadcast to the galaxy. All species, all systems, all levels. This is the final transmission from the people of Earth. We are not your enemy, but we are not your property. You chose laughter. You chose pride. We chose silence. Let that be enough. The veil will close in 7 days. After that, there will be no return. No contact, no voice, no opening, goodbye. 7 days. The galaxy had 1 week to act. Some begged, others threatened. A few offered everything, resources, power, even control of the Council itself. Earth didn't reply, and as the seventh day came, the veil closed. One final light blinked in space near the edge of Pluto. A flash of gold, then nothing. All scanners. Lost signal. All channels went dead. Human space was gone. Not destroyed. Not hidden. Just unreachable. Locked behind the veil, and with it, the greatest mystery of the galaxy. No more human ships, no more human voices, no more jokes. The table was empty now, and the galaxy finally understood what that meant. When humanity left, they took the future with them. The galaxy moved on. It had no choice. The veil was closed. Earth was silent. Human space was dark, unreachable, untouchable. No ship could enter. No message was returned. It was like a part of the galaxy had vanished, but it was still there, just behind a wall no one could break. Weeks passed, then months, then years. At first, many believed Earth would return. They thought humanity was just angry, waiting to make a point, to teach a lesson. Some even built welcome stations at the border of the veil, full of gifts, food, and peace offerings, but no human ever came. Slowly, the truth settled in. They were really gone, and the galaxy felt smaller, less alive. Before, humans had been the strange ones, wild, loud, full of fire and ideas that made no sense to the council. They moved too fast, joked too much, pushed too far. But now, the silence left a hole. Trade fell. Innovation slowed. Some technologies failed completely. Systems humans once helped design now too complex for others to fix. The council tried to replace them. They couldn't. Entire research sectors collapsed. New ship engines couldn't match the power of the human designs. Medicine fell behind. AI development froze. It was as if, without realizing it, the galaxy had come to depend on humanity's chaos, and now that it was gone, everything felt cold. Some worlds blamed the council. "You let them leave," they said. "You mocked them, and now we all pay the price." Others tried to hide the truth. "They'll return," they said. "Humans always come back," but they didn't. Generations passed. Stories turned into myths. Children were told tales of a strange species that once laughed at danger, then vanished behind a wall of stars. Some believed Earth had become a god world, filled with light and machines. Others said they had left the galaxy completely, moved to another universe, beyond space and time. No one knew, but some still hoped. On a small moon called Rethar, far from the core, there lived a boy named Talon. He grew up hearing old Earth. Music. His grandmother had kept a dusty old player with recordings from long ago. He didn't understand the words, but the sound made him feel something, like the sky had stories, like the stars were listening. Talon asked once, "Will they ever come back?" His grandmother smiled gently. "Maybe, when they're ready, or when we are." That hope never died. In hidden corners of the galaxy, small groups kept learning the human way, not to copy them, but to understand them, to respect what they were, to prepare in case. One day, Earth opened the door again. They studied human history, their art, their wars, their peace, their pain. And slowly, a quiet truth grew. The humans had never been the joke. They were the warning. They had joined the galaxy not to conquer, not to rule, but to give it a chance to grow together, to rise above pride and fear. The council had laughed. So Earth left, and now the stars missed their fire. One day, many years later, a single light blinked near the edge of the veil. A signal, just a whisper. One word, listening. That was it. No ship followed. No reply came after. But the meaning was clear. Earth was still watching, still waiting. And maybe, just maybe, they hadn't closed the door forever. Maybe they were waiting for something. Not fear, not surrender, but change. Growth, respect. The galaxy had lost a star when humanity left. But that star still burned, far beyond the black wall. And one day, if the galaxy found the courage to rise without pride, to seek without control, to ask without demand, they might speak again. And when they did, Earth would be listening.